This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com, and tonight I am here at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa for the very first The Hannibal TV live taping with a man that looks like Luna Vachon swallowed Samoa Joe, the nasty boy himself, Brian Knobbs, multiple-time World Tag Team Champion. And a lot of people wonder, why wasn't he a singles champion? Well, there is good reason for that. Whenever he was knocked down in a match, he was so big that he ended up rocking himself to sleep. He needed Jerry Saggs to help him up. That is the reason. And why isn't Jerry Saggs here tonight? Unfortunately, he tried to burn some calories and he lit Knobbs on fire. It didn't quite work, and Knobbs is still holding a grudge against him for that. Has anyone of you seen by any chance the porn that Knobbs and Awesome Kong made called Missionary Impossible? All kidding aside though, Knobbs, he's not really fat, he's just full of shit, so let's bring him out right now. Former WWE, former WCW World Tag Team Champion. He was one of the stars of Hogan Knows Best, and the star, the judge on Trailer Park Justice, Nasty Boy, Brian Knobbs. And by the way, you can feel free to get him drinks while he's up here. Keep his vocal cords loose.
Sure, I'll have a Bud Light if you have one. Well, pick one out. Who wants to get me one? I'm ready. How you guys doing today? Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. You know, I've been, man, in these parts for a long time. It must have been back in the WWF days, because I don't think WCW came up to Ottawa and Hall too much. You know, it was always WWF, but we had some good times up here with a lot of good friends. A lot of good friends of mine ain't here no more, but Davey Boy Smith and Mr. Perfect and you name them, everybody came through here and we were always romping and stomping. And then I think it was in Ottawa, closed early, and then we had to go to Hall, and they were open like 2 hours more for drink night. So you had to rush over for 2 extra hours, and I don't know if it was worth it or not, but had a hell of a hangover in the morning catching that plane. That's what damn.
He actually main evented the Robert Goethe Arena back in about 1993 against the Head Shrinkers. It was the Nasty Boys against the Head Shrinkers. Lots of great matches at the Ottawa Civic Center over the years. You probably don't remember, but do you have any memories other than Hull closed later than Ottawa from this city?
You know what? Always the fans. The fans were always so good up here. They really got into it. It wasn't like I say, nowadays, a lot of the American fans, you get a lot of them thinking everybody's smart, everybody knows the business. You don't know the business. If you knew the business, you'd be in the business. But everybody thinks they know, oh, well, this should have happened or this should happen. And that's where maybe why things aren't as good or productive these days as they used to be, because, you know, a lot of writers and, a lot of, people writing your interviews. And I think that's what's kind of lost. It's a lost art, because nobody wrote Stone Cold's interviews or Hulk Hogan's or Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair's or the Nasty Boys. It came out from you, and that's what kind of person and your persona that was in the wrestling ring came out. So, that's what I think the difference is, and you guys still enjoy it. You don't try to dissect every match. Oh, this should have been like this. You guys just go out there, know we're doing a good job, know we know what we're doing, and we go out there and give you the best show we can, and Canadian fans have always been the number one for that.
One of the reasons you were so successful as a tag team is you were actually best friends with Saggs for a very long time. Do you want to start by telling us your history with Saggs?
Well, me and Saggs grew up together. We've known each other now 45 years. We were both 10 when I met him, and both played Little League. And he was first baseman, and I was left field, and the ball could be hit right in front of me, but I would have to make this spectacular grab and probably would always drop it. And he was first baseman and couldn't stretch because he was too big, And then the balls would always come up and hit him in the face. And he already had that tooth that's missing was half a tooth. And I said to him, I said, first time I ever met him, I said, hey Jerry, what happened there? Well, how did you lose your tooth? And he goes, my brother shot it out with a BB gun then. Ever since he told me that, I said, this guy's gonna be my friend. And 45 years later, I'm still with that stinking toothless pig. What can I say?
Sags is known as a legitimately tough guy. I mean, everyone knows the story. He beat up Ken Shamrock. Can you tell us some other stories about Sags' toughness that we may not have heard?
Well, Bobcat Bradley, he busted him up pretty good at the Vancouver big arena there in the back because it was over a rib. And good old Silent River Owen Hart, he's the one that actually did it and stirred it up.
Owen.
And but we got blamed for it. So SAG just bought these brand new Jordans, and he came up to SAG, this Bobcat Bradley, and he goes, "It's over. That's all it's gonna be. It's over." My partner's looking at him, what the hell is he talking about? So then we get out of the ring, and Bobcat Bradley's already dressed and ready to go out, and my partner can't find his brand new Jordan sneakers he just bought. Here, Bobcat Bradley shoved them in the coffee pot. They were just soaked full of coffee. They were ruined. And SAG went out there with just a towel on and caught him right before he left the building, right in front of the fans. The towel went down and SAG naked. Just beat the living, stopped a mud hole in his ass. I know. SAG busted his hand on his face. And not too many people know about that, but the guy's name was Bobcat Bradley and beat the living hell out of him, you know?
And a lot of people don't know, you were actually in the military. What trade were you in the military?
I was in, I went for 13 Bravo, cannon crewman. That was the one where I got a $5,000 bonus, and you lived half the month, 3 months, 3 weeks out of every month, you were out in the field playing war games. So, it wasn't the best job. So, but was there for about 2.5, 3 years, and then got released. And my partner...
For eating too many cheeseburgers,
yes.
I understand. He actually wanted to get released, so he ate and ate and ate until he couldn't fit the uniforms anymore. That's legitimate.
Well, I was like supposed to be 210 or 208, and I was 210 at the time. And I just went home, and SAG was at home, and he just got kicked out. He had a scholarship for football for Virginia, and he just got kicked out of college for hitting the home monitor over the head with a keg of beer. So he was at home going, "Do you really like it in there?" I've been in 3 years of it now, and now they want to maybe ship me somewhere else, but now they're trying to get rid of me because they say I'm overweight. I'm 2 pounds overweight. So in that whole month I was home, me and SAG proceeded to eat at McDonald's about 35 to 40 cheeseburgers every night.
Every night?
Yeah, every night. I came back, I was 275. They flipped out. They said, "Yandrovich, you got a month to lose it or you're out of here." And so I got an honorable discharge. And then, then what's so funny is 26 years later, I'm in 2009, me, Jimmy Hart, and Greg the Hammer, we were and two divas, Kelly Val, SoCal Val, and Kelly Brooks. And we went over for our troops to Iraq. And we were over there for 30 days, and I never, I'm always drinking a beer here and there, and Jimmy said they have them on the base. So when we got there, it's a Muslim country, there ain't no damn alcohol over there. I went, well, damn, Jimmy, at least you could have, told me if you wanted to send me to rehab, send me to rehab. You didn't have to bring me to Iraq and say, "Hey, there's no over here," so you're stuck for 30 days. But it was a really good experience, and when I was in Missoula, this black gentleman kept yapping and he reminded me of Lawrence Taylor, so I finally said something to him, and then I was sitting with the troops, and he goes, "Why don't you come over and sit with my people?" And they were civilians, and I said, "Well, I'm here for the troops." And he said, "Well, I used to be a soldier. I was a soldier back in the day, Bob." And then it just clicked, and I said, "Is your last name Barry?" And he said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Sergeant Barry, it was my battery commander from my back when I was in Fort Hood, Texas." Yeah, and he never could pronounce my name. He always could call me Ski. My real last name's Yandrovich. Now you know why I switched it to knobs. I used to chew on doorknobs when I was small and play with knobs, and my uncle gave me the nickname Knobs, So anyway, he went that night when I was signing autographs for the troops, and he stood next to me the whole time, and he was like he was back drill sergeant again. This is my soldier. I trained him. He's a professional wrestler now. And it was so great. But 26 years later, I ran into my battery commander in Mosul, Iraq. You know, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then to go back to the story I was just telling you before, I went up, and my first time at ESPN, AWA Wrestling, and me and Sam were both single wrestlers, and Radio Cripper Steven said, "What's your name, kid?" I said, "Brian Andrusovich, sir." And he went, "What?" I said, "Brian Andrusovich, sir." He goes, "Well, you're gonna have to change that shit." And I went, "Brian Knobs?" He goes, "That'll work, get out there." So that's how Brian Knobs got, the name got made. I used my nickname and my first name put together, you know?
What was Ray the Crippler Stevens' drinking song? You must know it. He used to sing a drinking song whenever he would drink.
Oh, I don't know. I remember Maso Saito's was San Francisco. I left my heart in San Francisco, so he might have been, they used to do that a lot, and Pat Patterson was a big karaoke guy too. Still likes to get there. Yeah, he still likes getting on that karaoke. Still thinks he's a good singer too.
What's up with the rumor? Let's get into this now. This is a little early, but what's up with the rumors on Pat Patterson? There's all these rumors about him and Steve Lombardi and him and Jim Powers and all sorts of stuff. Did you ever notice? I know you might not be his taste, but did you ever see anything like that when you were back there?
Well, we won the belts, didn't we? No, not really. Pat was always really nice, and you heard things. So, to each their own. Who cares? You know what I mean? As long as everybody gets along, who cares? Who cares if this person's this or this? What color they are, what nationality, what they want to be, if they want to even be a transgender. Who cares? As long as they have respect for one another, and just show respect to people when you're out there. That's the way you should live life. I mean, don't too much bullshit going on these days.
Is it true or false? Did anything happen between Patterson and Steve Lombardi, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know, but they shared a king-size bed together one time. That's all I know.
Now, you mentioned the AWA. That was a huge territory back in the day. Definitely one of the top three. There was AWA, WWF, and AWA.
Yeah.
How did you get booked in AWA, and what are your memories of Vern Gagne?
Well, we actually, when we, all the bullshit happened with, me getting tossed out of the Army, getting tossed out of college, we were in a lot of barroom fights every weekend. That was our thing, all these muscle-bound guys that thought their shit didn't stink, all the bodyguards at these clubs, and that was our deal. We're going to take you out. We're coming in to take you out, boys. And then that's pretty violent there. Where my dad worked for the police station actually, fixing the cop cars, and he was the chief mechanic there. And Matt Millen, who's a pro football player for actually the NFL. 4 Super Bowl rings. He had 2 with one with Oakland Raiders, one with the LA Raiders, one with Washington, one with San Francisco. So he played, and then he went to Detroit and went to be a GM, and he still got paid, but he didn't do a very good job. But Ford liked him. He kept him around for 9 years. But he's the one that took us to his house and said, "You guys are screwing up, and I think you should try that. Why don't you try that pro wrestling knobs? You always liked it." So we said, "All right." And at the time, in Allentown, PA, they used to have television tapings there. So when television tapings...
You're from Allentown, right?
Yeah, I'm from Allentown, so they used to stay at the hotel right there, right down the street from Sags' house. So we got the guy who managed the place, knew some of the wrestlers, and he knew George the Animal. So that night we went to bother George the Animal, and he had a girl with him. Bless his soul, he had a girl with him, and we were driving around the car, and he kept on moving the car, and like, who are these idiots? Finally found out it's the 2 marks from Allentown trying to get in the wrestling business. He recognized us because we had these haircuts back in the day. And so he called me the next day, and he had Jimmy Snuka, Bob Orton Jr., and Mr. Wonderful to beat the living shit out of us, but we were both working. We couldn't go to the hotel. So then he said, if you're really serious about, wanting to be a wrestler, you'll go to Vern Gagne's camp, and that'll either make you or break you. And We started with 22 guys, and me and Sags are the only ones that finished, and that's because we lived on the bottom of Brad's, where the camp was, and our car broke down, so we couldn't go nowhere. We were stuck, and then you just didn't. That's the difference between today's wrestling and when we grew up, when we got in, you just didn't shoot right to the top. We drove the ring truck for 6 months. Then we refereed. Then we started getting in singles matches here and there. You just don't get pushed in right to a spot where, like now Nexus and you have the developmental, people think they should get pushed right away. I mean, it takes time. It's all respect. It's all paying your dues, learning your trait the right way. So when you do take them bumps, and it means something, not just going out and, and you can still learn a lot if you watch a lot of the older schoolers today, just a lot of old school matches, even a lot of the British Bulldogs matches and stuff like that. You'll see some amazing, incredibly amazing stuff. I mean, it's the Steiners, another great tag team, Road Warriors, Hart Foundation. I mean, I could just, name them. They could just, and we had a chance to work against mostly everybody there. I mean, even the Bushwhackers. Talk about a good tag team. Yeah, and always had fun with them too.
Did the Bulldogs ever play a rib on you? They're known for their ribs.
They played a rib. We were their human ashtrays for a whole month in we sat in front of them, and Dynamite would put his cigarette ashes in our head. It would burn our head every once in a while, but we didn't know it till the next day. We go, what the hell? And you go, that fucking Dynamite must be putting his ashes out. He was using Sags flat tops as ashtray lids, So, but he took a liking to us, and to this day, even at the end there, he always asked about us, and through Brett and Harry Smith, who went to see him at the end, and it was really terrible because he lost a lot of weight and everything, but he was a generally great guy. He really was a really good super guy, and that loved the business and did almost everything for the business, and and that's how you wind up when you do that crazy stuff, because he was doing that crazy stuff before nobody else was, and he was Tiger Mask back in the day. Watch some of the stuff he was doing. I mean, Eddie Guerrero copied a lot of it. Chris Benoit copied a lot of it. I mean, there's, if you just go back, even all the way back, you're going, you just think about, they had that documentary on Andre. Nobody understands, like today, there are places that got things for big guys. But when he was doing it in Japan and flying, there were no big seats or nothing like that. He had to be crunched in. And at that time, he was about 7'6", almost 600-700 pounds. And, couldn't go really to the bathroom right in Japan, and everything was small, but he was going all over the world, selling out all the stadiums, back when they were doing back then. So it wasn't like back in, when Andre was wrestling, they weren't having good houses. They were selling out stadiums all over the world. I mean, like Ric Flair. Who the hell wrestles an hour a night for, I don't know how many years in a row he did that, like 20 years. That's unbelievably unheard of, to go to different territories and wrestle the Harley races and the Dusty Roses and Nick Bockwinkel's, and he used to go to all the different territories, and every night he would put in an hour. Every night it was an hour of wrestling, and that's hard to do. It really is.
That reminds me, you mentioned to me that Sags was banned from Ric Flair's recent birthday party. You were there, but why was Sags banned?
He wasn't banned. I was just joking with him because we were ribbing Rick. And then, he was ribbing Rick, so I told Sag later on that he was banned, but he really wasn't. But Sag was going, why did I get banned? I didn't do anything. I said, that's because you were acting like an asshole like you always do. If you can't rib your partner, who can you rib, right?
Now, I love the story where you guys caused a ruckus with Ric Flair at the bar, and he ended up getting thrown out. But is there any other stories about Ric Flair at the clubs that people might not know about?
We were in England. There was a thing started with always the old guys, young guys, and then Piper was his guy, and Piper picked me to party with. So, don't do that. That was, God bless Roddy, he's not here no more, but that wasn't a challenge I would take on again, because that son of a bitch, he definitely.
There's a reason why he's not here anymore.
He's definitely a great guy and a great soul, but you don't want to, challenge him in anything, because Roddy Piper goes to the fullest, you know what I mean? But we had this thing going on, and so Rick always got into a big skirmish and like a half shoot. So we were at Springfellows in England, and he put his shoes up there, and I said, "Are them $450 snakeskin loafers?" And he goes, "No, they're them $650 snakeskin loafers." I said, "Really?" And I just threw him across the bar, and the bar was full. I don't know if he ever got him back. Then he got Animal on my ass because I did that. Then Animal wanted to kill me. But there was like a veterans, like an old guy, young guy thing going on there at the time. And I don't even know how it got started.
Ric Flair was old back then?
Yeah. But Shawn was the one that started it all. Shawn Michaels, you know, he was known to have his hands in a lot of stuff. Always, you know, him and Marty used to, oh yeah, with us, that's, you know, we were brought up with all them guys, you know.
Well, there's something you wanted to say about Marty Jannetty before we get off topic. Marty Jannetty did a shoot interview with me recently, and he said that Knobs urinated on Elvis's grave.
He's a bullshitter. Well, first of all, Marty's ankle was so fucked up he couldn't even, excuse my language, but he couldn't even make it over the wall. He couldn't. We couldn't even lift him over the wall, and it was hard getting over that wall. I mean, it's all jagged at the top. So I jumped over first, and then I told Sag and Shawn that I used to be in the Army. I got the words, and don't worry, I'll get it. So all you heard was like a tank going through leaves. You could hear me a mile away, and they had guards all over the place. And when I got to the tree, I went, "Hoo-dee-hoo, hoo-dee-hoo," and Sag and they were looking at each other, and on top of Elvis as well, going, "Really? They really think that there's an owl hanging out at Elvis's place somewhere going hootie-hoo in the middle of the morning?" You know? So we made it up there. Marty never made it in, but we made it all the way up to the grave, and we all had a beer at his grave, which was great. And then all of a sudden the security found us and said, "They're over here." So Sag went over the fence, Marty went over the fence, and I was so out of breath to get up there, I couldn't make it over the fence. I crashed through the barn fence in the back. So then I couldn't pull myself back over the wall, so I had to bury myself in leaves up to my neck, and I stayed in there for about an hour to let everything calm down. And I was real quiet so I could find the smallest spot in where his wall is, because there's a couple spots that goes down where I could grab and pull myself over.
This is in Memphis at Elvis's old house, right?
Yeah,
For anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, but Marty said he was there, and I shouldn't say this or shit. I said that Knobs just went and got up and urinated on Elvis's grave. I said, "I didn't do that." Marty wasn't even there, the fucking liar. What the hell's he talking about? He's making up his own stories like Hacksaw does in his book. Hacksaw uses half of our stories to explain his stories. And he said to me, "Whoever writes the book first, kid, gets to tell the stories."
Well, you tell us a story about Hacksaw. He's been to Ottawa lots of times. He used to wrestle for Great North Wrestling. What story do you have about the big Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, who I introduced when he was in Ottawa doing a comedy show a few years ago?
Well, he hates this, but you know, they played cribbage in the back a lot. So it was Macho and Sag played and Duggan. So then Sag started it, so he just made up a little chime, and the chime went like this: "Hacksaw Duggan, that's my name. I'm a fucking asshole. Bing a bing." So that was it. So all of a sudden, boom, he said it, and I went, "Hey, Hacksaw Duggan." Me and Sag went at it for about, in the locker room, sitting and going back and forth for about an hour and a half. And now Macho's playing cribbage with Hacksaw, and he's going, "That's not cool, brother. You're calling you a fucking asshole in front of the boys, you know." So now he's stirring Hacksaw up, right? So all of a sudden, it's going on again. It's going on for about an hour and a half now. So all of a sudden, who walks in humming it and singing it? Marcus Bagwell. Oh. Duggan jumped up, he said, "Not from you, Bagwell. I'll take it from these jackasses, but I'm not taking it from you? Bagwell's eyes sunk back in his head and he ran out of the locker room full blast. So then on the way home, you know, we're driving with Jim. We're going back to Charleston, and he's in the he's driving. I'm in the passenger side, and Sag's in the back. He didn't talk to us for like 35, 40 minutes, and we're going, Jim, is there something wrong? Is there something going on here? He said, you're damn right there's something going on. It's that fucking asshole song. He's going to bash it on the dashboard, this and that. He goes, you're calling me a fucking asshole in front of the boys. So Sag said, well, Jim, tell you the truth, right now you are acting like a fucking asshole. So, but, you know, he got over it, you know, but now that we bring the song up all the time, and so the song is a notable song amongst the wrestler, now you guys know it, you know.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I think he's coming here in a few weeks, so now you guys definitely know it. And
so you can sing it for him.
You mentioned
Asshole Duggan, that's my name. I'm a fucking asshole. Binga bing.
You brought up Marcus Bagwell, who's also known as Buff Bagwell. He is one of the biggest heat seekers ever in professional wrestling. What was it about Marcus that everyone hated?
I like Marcus. He just was the kind of guy that always wanted to, you know, do good, and he asked a lot of questions. But just, you know how you get heat by just, I guess you're at the time when you're that good-looking baby face kind of guy. Like I know Paul Orndorff didn't like him too well.
He was an agent.
Yeah, he was.
Beat up Vader.
Well, he was hitting him in the corner. This is a work. This is a shoot. Like you hit him for real, then you give him a working punch to try to teach him, but actually it was more, you know, there's always some people out there that just don't like you.
Do you remember the lyrics to the American Male song, anyone?
No.
They're very complicated.
No, I never. Is that who?
It's just American Males.
Well, that wasn't with him. With Too Cold, was it?
That was no. Too Cold hates Bagwell though. There's legit heat there.
Really?
Too Cold actually wants to beat him up.
Really?
Yeah. Too Cold is a good friend of mine. He wrestles for Great North Wrestling.
Yeah, we wrestle them guys. Too Cold's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
All these guys get wound tight, wound tight when they're getting older. It's like, really? I mean, even about just the same old stuff about the Shamrock. That happened in 1989.
Let's hear about the Shamrock. Everyone wants to know about the Shamrock, don't you?
No one really want to hear about it. I was drunker than hell. I got in the fight, and then he came looking for us at our hotel, and then he found a room from Colonel Parker, and then he bashed on the door trying to get in, and I was passed out. I was passed out on sleeping pills, never woke up. Next day I woke up, my feet's in the wrong position, so I knew something was wrong, and I said, Zag, did something happen last night? And he went, you're damn right something happened. Ken Shamrock wanted to kill you, he came in here, I had to protect you, I threw him over, I was going to throw him over the third-story balcony, the cops were here, blah, 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 blah. I went, sorry, buddy. And I turned around and went back to sleep.
Well, let's set the record straight on something. Colonel Parker told me that he actually called you guys and notified you in advance that Ken Shamrock was
He did not, he's a liar. He did not. He went, this is what really happened. Because you
guys beat him over the head with a phone. Apparently his head was like swollen.
Nobody beat him. I was out cold. If Sag hit him with something, Sag hit him, he busted in the room, you're breaking and entering. It's called street fighting. Anything happens, it happens. You know what I mean? So whatever happened, but I was sleeping through all of it, so I don't know. But I know he went to Colonel Parker's room, and we know what Colonel Parker did. They're right up there, Route 365, right up there. It's okay, shaking. Ken had it by the shirt. He did not try to call him and tell us he was coming on his way up. Fucking Robert Fuller's a bullshitter. Even though, hopefully he's doing good, because he did. He actually just recently got hit by a car.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's doing pretty good, but he was.
And he has a shoot interview on the Hannibal TV. Check it out, everyone.
Yeah, but he was taking his nephew across the street. Some guy kind of hit and ran him, but he's getting better. But he's messed him up a little bit, So.
Did you ever see Shamrock since that incident?
His what?
Did you ever run into Shamrock again since that incident?
We ran into him a couple times. Actually, the last time he shook my hand. He asked me how I was doing. I don't think he didn't shake Sag's hand, but he shook my hand.
Now you talked about the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Tell us some more stories about him. I want to dig it.
Oh, Macho was the greatest. He was the real deal. We're just a real good. He talked like that. Believe it or not, that wasn't a voice. That's the way he talked, and he was just a good guy. Go out, like to have beers, and just a guy I thought would live forever. That was a shock to me because he had the heart attack. That accident didn't have nothing to do with the heart attack. He had the heart attack at the light, and he was already dead, and the car rolled through the light. So he already had the heart attack. People thought he got in an accident, then had the heart attack. No, he had the heart attack. And what's weird is 2 weeks earlier, he had his mom at the heart doctor to get her heart checked, and he never got his checked. You know what I mean? So that's a shame. But yeah, he was definitely always. We went with him one time, and they took us. Him and Hulk took us. They went and bought his dad Angelo a 1960 Cadillac. And we drank all the way from LA back, and we went to just get some sleep before the night's matches. And they took us out to this would-be thing in Michigan. It took about 2 hours to get there. And oh my God, that was the worst. That night we were just burnt the hell out. But we were there when he actually gave the car to his dad, and his dad had tears in his eyes when he gave him for his birthday gift, a 1960 Cadillac. Old Cadillac convertible, and we went there and helped Randy pick it out with Hulk. It was me, Hulk, Sag, and Randy. And that was a good time, good time to remember. You know what I mean? Macho was always good, man. He really was.
In your opinion, there's always the rumor. Lanny actually told me this off the record, but everyone always says that he actually slept with Stephanie McMahon. What's your opinion on if that happened or not?
I don't know. You hear different rumors, but it's all rumors. Who knows if it happened or not? I mean, I don't know. I would never. That's something I don't even think about. Because I know Macho, and that doesn't seem right. That Macho would, if she was older, maybe. I thought she might have been in her 20s, but I don't know. I remember her when she was just a little girl, just like Shane.
You traveled with Shane, right?
Yeah, well, Shane used to room with me and Sag. So his dad said one day, and I called him up and said, I'm staying with the Nasty Boys tonight again. And he said, oh, yeah, okay. All right, Dad. Oh, all right. Well, okay, I'll be home in about an hour. And all of a sudden, he hung up the phone, he says, Dad won't let me stay with you guys no more. I don't know what we did, but I guess we were just bad influences or something.
What was Shane like in those days? Because now he's a big star. He's one of the people they go to if they want ratings. They'll put a match of
Shane's a good guy. He really is. He's a good person. He's a really nice guy. He's not. I'm not pretty sure he's not in as much as Stephanie is. He told me he's still doing his thing, but he's not like he was in before. So it's still like Triple H and Stephanie.
You saw him at Flair's birthday, right?
Yeah.
He texted a picture of you guys to Vince.
Yeah. And Vince said, don't worry, Dad, Nasty Boy's got my back. And he texted right back in 3 seconds. I told you to stay away from them guys. After 20, 30 years, what the hell, Vince? Jeez.
Now, you were a star on Hogan Knows Best. Everybody knows your best buddy was Hogan. He actually pantsed you in front of a huge amount of people. I used the clip in the promo for this, but did he actually pants you?
Yeah, well, yeah.
In front of like 500 people?
Yeah, well, they wanted me to do the dance and
we can't hear you.
Against the younger guy, all the college students and shit. Man, I don't look like that. I'm way older. So I told Hulk, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So he winked at the producer and went like, I said, what are you winking at him for? Well, 17 shots of Patron later, I did this funky dance. I don't even know what I was doing. I whipped almost all my clothes off of it, and he whipped my drawers down, and then I ripped them down later on and showed my ass again, and that all went on TV. So I had to apologize to my mom for that.
Brooke was front and center with that too. Brooke got them. That's the funniest part. He passed you right in front of his daughter. Any stories about Brooke that we wouldn't know?
You know what? She's just good girl, works her butt off, still trying to make it in the music business, which is hard. And she's still writing some songs now. She went more country. And Nick's out in LA doing DJ, and he's also dealing with expensive cars. He buys and trades.
Hopefully he's not driving them at warp speeds.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I mean, that's just a terrible incident that happened there. You know, if the dude would have had his seatbelt on, nothing would have even been wrong. You know.
And how's Hulk doing these days? He might actually watch this. I'll tweet this clip to him. He's blocked me on Twitter, but we'll get this clip to him. How is Hulk Hogan doing these days? I don't hate you, by the way, Hulk Hogan, if you see this.
Hulk's doing great. He's doing really good. Family's doing good. And, you know, he's been through a lot of stuff lately. I mean, you know, you got to admit, and he's just a good-hearted guy. I mean, he really is. If you know, he's the Hulkster for a reason, man. He helped his business out. You know, I mean, whether you like him or dislike him, you can't say he's not one of the tops. You know, him and Flair are right up there, neck and neck. And you know, there's a lot of other guys, you know, like Bruno Sammartino and guys like that, Andre the Giant. But Hulk definitely put a stamp and a label on our business that made it worldwide. And, you know, Hulkamania is Hulkamania, and he's still a great guy. I never saw him turn down an autograph. Rarely did I see him ever cuss anybody out. It's usually while he's eating. He'll tell them to wait till after he's done eating, but he's always there, shake a hand, hug a kid. So, you know, you got to me, he's a true professional, true role model.
And brother, you must have a Hulk Hogan impression, brother.
No, brother, I don't. I've been listening to him so long, it's just wedged into my head. You know what I mean? Now him and Macho Man, Jesus. And then you got Flair behind that. Woo!
Woo! I love Ric Flair. But you brought up Andre the Giant earlier. You must have a story or two about the legendary Andre the Giant, who could drink more than any other human being I've ever heard of.
Well, first of all, we didn't like him at first. We were wrestling in Tennessee, and we went to see Mr. Perfect and a couple of our other buddies that were wrestling for WWF at the time, and he was in the back. And when we went back, we said we're going to see Mr. Perfect, and you know, and he said, "Get out." And we said, "Well, we're here to see Mr. Perfect. He's in front of." I said, "Get out." And on the third one, he pushed the table out of it, stood up. He said, "I said, get out." Me and Sag never ran so fast in our lives to get out of the damn building. So then, ever since then, I really, you know, disliked him. And then even when we were in WWF at the end of his run, he was overseas with us. And I went the first night and partied with me, Undertaker, and Piper took us to this Spanish wedding inside the hotel. Well, I missed the plane and I missed everything. They left without me, so I had to buy my own plane ticket, flew to Brussels, got my own cab fare, got in the back, thought I was late. I got in there and the guys weren't even near you because Vince would never fly to that one town. He'd fly somewhere safer because there was only one flight to fly there, and if you would miss that one, that would screw up the show. So them guys weren't even there yet. So here they come, everybody come in, and I'm sitting with my feet on the table, and I'm here, and Sag goes, "Oh my God, Nant's here." And I think Andre saw that as this young kid. He went out, did his thing, but he's there the next day to perform and do his thing, ready to go, and a lot of respect there. So that night he called me over, and we called him boss. He said, "You, come here." And I said, "Yes, boss, what's up?" "You sit down by me tonight." I said, "Yes, boss, whatever you want." He goes, "Tonight you drink with me." I said, "Okay, boss, thank you. Yes, definitely." So he gets ordered 2 beers. You toast him up to me. He goes, "The name of this tour is Don't Be a Knob." Oh! So I laughed, and ever since then we became good friends. I met his family in Paris and everything like that, and became good friends with him. And what a good guy he is, you know.
And one guy I know you knew pretty well was Haku, who I had a little altercation with not too long ago. Has about 100,000.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
No, he's lucky. It ain't over with me and Haku.
Jesus.
But I know
You're lucky you didn't get your ass handed to you.
You know what? Haku has nothing on me. I can handle myself with Haku. But you've told me the Japan story. You must know other stories about Haku. People on this channel love hearing about the Haku myth. But that myth is going to be rectified when he steps in the ring with me. Maybe on a Legends of Wrestling show in Florida in the future.
Maybe that could happen. But, you know, when you see a certain person wipe out about 12 cops armed and loaded to the gills and just threw him around like a bunch of rag dolls in East St. Louis.
And you wonder why you can't get across the border.
And they beat the hell out of him. But the next day he was there to wrestle, but they put a beating on him bad. They were there, really clubbed.
You were there for that?
No, I wasn't there for that trip, but Tito was there rooming with them, and he iced him down when he came back, and he said he couldn't even recognize him. His face was so blown up, and they hit him with, cops hit him with their batons and maced them and all kind of shit, tasered them. But yeah, that's one tough son of a bitch you gotta go after. So God bless you. Let me give you Undertaker's ritual right now.
That ain't gonna happen. But speaking of Undertaker, you mentioned him a couple of times. Everyone loves the Undertaker here, right?
Yeah. Undertaker, Mark's always been a great friend because it was me, Sag, and Mark that actually went to the WWE together. And he's still there and we're not, and he's living in a big house and I'm not no more. So, no, we we're in WCW together, and me and Sag and him all broke in November of 1990, and then we went for the belts. That was in WrestleMania 7, and then they built Taker up from there, from the Survivor Series in '90, but it was us three that broke in together, you know what I mean? So from WCW to going to WWF. So, and Mark's always been a great gentleman and a nice guy,
What would we know about the Undertaker that you may have seen aside of him?
You know what? He's real quiet. He's a quiet guy, not loudmouth. He's just real quiet. Does his own thing, and he kind of just hangs out and he's nice to everybody, but he's just he's been doing it a long time. I mean, you got to give it. When we started in '90, so damn, what is it? They're on WrestleMania 7. He started. So
he's actually wrestling on this Saudi Arabia show coming up too. So he's still in there. Goldberg's also on that Saudi Arabia show. You must have a couple stories about Goldberg. He's coming back. Bill's doing really good. He has Dodge commercials now, and he has that show, The Goldbergs. He's trying to be an actor. I keep telling him, keep on trying, Bill. You weren't much of a wrestler. Let's see if you can be an actor. No, Bill's a good guy though. I met him when I first came back to WCW after, he was there, and then after you got fired, after Nash and Hall beat the crap out of Sags, legitimate.
Yeah.
But they injured him. They injured his neck.
They injured his neck, but they got Scott got the shit kicked out of him, but Kevin didn't. Kevin somehow squandered away from that one. I don't know how he got away from that one, but it all happens, and all these stories are old. It's like, geez, get on with your life. When you hear about some of the things, I mean that was even, God, that's almost 30 years ago. That was 95 or 96, I think.
Yeah, time goes by fast. You were actually WCW Hardcore Champion when they brought you back.
Yeah.
So, did you ever fight Goldberg when you were Hardcore Champion?
Yeah, I fought Goldberg, but not in that match. He didn't fight me in the Hardcore match. It was just a regular match.
You would have won if it was Hardcore.
Yeah, I would have whooped his ass. That took a lot out of my, seriously, the way I wake up in the morning and that, man, I wake up like a tractor trailer every morning. And it definitely was for that last 4 or 5 years when I was wrestling on my own, and it was hardcore. And they weren't buying anything from the buildings. We were using regular stuff that, like if we went to Ottawa, we were using the stuff that was at the building for the last 20, 30 years, like cast iron trash cans, the kind that, actually give you a concussion if you get hit over the head with them, and the big padded wooden steel chairs, and tables that weren't, cut open and spliced, and all it would have took them was $100 to go to Home Depot and buy some stuff that we could use so we wouldn't kill each other, you know what I mean? And I threw Finley through a table, and it was made of Formica, and it nearly cut his leg off. It came down like a hatchet. His leg was hanging off. I took my shirt off and put it over it, called the medics right away, canceled the match. And he was in the back, and I got one cut right down here, and I was out of all kind of pain medication. Not Finley. He didn't want no pain medication. Just sew it up, he says, just sew it up. I went, damn, your leg's hanging off. What do you mean just sew it up? That's one tough Irishman right there. Fit Finley, yeah.
I actually heard Ken Shamrock say that pro wrestling was harder on his body than mixed martial arts because you're taking that punishment day in and day out.
Every day, and you're not throwing just 3-minute rounds or 5-minute rounds. You're going, sometimes you're out there 10, 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and you're out there every night. Back in our day, we were 300 days a year. We were Saturdays and Sundays. We were doing, we do a gig, wrestle in the afternoon like this, then get on a plane and then go somewhere that would be close, would probably be an hour away, would be Toronto. So go here during the afternoon and Toronto at night. And we were doing that forever. Saturdays and Sundays, double shots. And it takes a wear and tear of your body. I mean, all the guys I know now, that's been in the business a long time, everybody's kind of injured and beat up. You know what I mean? Not nobody that I don't know is, walks right or correct or anything. Even some of the biggest and best bodybuilders in the world that in the business. I mean, look at Lex. I mean, God, I love him to death, but he took a turn when he used to be the total package. Now he's in a wheelchair, and ever since he had some kind of herniation deal with his neck, and it definitely takes this business takes a toll on your body. And we do it before you guys, and I'm just happy like you guys showed up today, so I can say thank you for you thanking me. I mean, you showed that you guys still watching, you still like the old school. And, the old school will always rule because it was a different time back then. The managers, they had the tag teams that were tag teams. They had even midgets. I mean, they had every sort of variety put together, and they still kind of don't have that these days. I mean, you don't have too many of the characters. Like you had the Hacksaws, you had Jake the Snakes, you had Big Boss Mans. Everybody had kind of a different kind of character or different kind of gimmick. Now everybody has the small shorts, small tights. Everybody's tattooed up. Everybody looks the same. I mean, to me, but they still go out there and bust their ass. I can't say that. I watch some of the stuff they're doing, and I say, if you keep doing that, you're not going to last very much longer. I mean, coming off the top and landing on the floor and doing them flips and all, eventually you're going to blow something out, So, but I do take my hat off to all of them. I mean, I really do. But, I wish they would bring some of the older stuff back, A couple good managers here and there is always good. There used to be all kind of managers. You had Bobby the Brain, Mr. Fuji, you had Slick, you had Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, baby,
Now, one casualty of the wrestling business is the Ultimate Warrior. He unfortunately passed away in his 50s. Do you have any stories on the Ultimate Warrior? He's always a popular subject on my channel.
You know what? He was he was a strange character. He was always out there doing his own thing, and he got into politics and all that stuff. But he's another guy that I was very surprised on because he always watched what he ate, but didn't drink a lot. It wasn't a big, this, that, the other, and he always took care of his body, man. That was one of, his body was his temple, and then winds up, right after he gets inducted, and then after Raw, he dies in the airport parking lot of a heart attack. So you just wonder how the hell, a guy there that took care of himself, like Macho was another one. Because Macho took care of himself like that too. He, no butter on the chicken, and me, I'm the other way. I lost 100 pounds and I gained it all back already. What the hell? How can you do that? I'll tell you a story here. I got invited to when we were doing. They didn't have it for Hogan Knows Best, but it was a charity event, 5,000 plate per person. So Linda invited me and my wife, and then we were the only wrestlers that were invited, and everybody else were, Hulk's friends. And one guy's name was Bob Basham, and he owns all Outback Steakhouses, owns them all. He's the top guy, and he was along on the trip, so I got kind of gooned up. So I was calling him Outback Bob, giving him smacks on top of the head. So then on the way home, we were driving, and we had one of them, a country star, music star, rock and roll bus, so everybody's sitting in there, and I went in front of them, and I shot him the moon. Well, I didn't know the guy was gonna take a left-hand turn, and my ass came right back and went right in his face. So the next day, I think everything's okay, you know. I know there was a little argument afterwards, and then all of a sudden, Hulk's real quiet. I said, "What's up, man?" He goes, "You know, remember what you did last night?" I said, "Yeah, we were having some fun, this and that." He goes, "No, you shot the moon at Bob Basham, and the bus driver took a left-hand turn, and your ass went right in his face." And he goes, "If he would have got a gun, he ran off that bus so fast when we parked, if you had a gun in his car, he would have shot you dead." And I said to Hulk, I said, "Well, I guess my ass didn't smell like a blooming onion then." No response from Hulk. And I knew I was there. I got kicked out of the house for 6 months over that little fiasco there, but then I got back in again. You know, that's why he has the nasty boy, you know. We got to have some, shits and giggles, so.
Speaking of your home life, you're actually the brother-in-law of Greg the Hammer Valentine, who I recently
please don't mention that, no.
What's it like being a brother-in-law with him? He's an interesting character for sure, but he did do a great shoot interview that I encourage all of you to check out on the Hannibal TV.
Greg's a good guy. He's been through a lot. His dad was a hell of a wrestler, and he went through it at the time when his dad wanted to stay younger, so he was calling him a brother instead of his son. You know what I mean? Back in the day. But no, Greg's a good guy. Greg has a sixth sense of humor. If you get to know him, he has a sixth sense of humor, but he's real quiet. He's a different cat, but he's funny. He has a real sick sense of humor. He's one of them, real crazy in the head deals. I heard somebody, your host here said something. How'd they find that out? I was on Cowhead. They were putting asshole, non-asshole, the wrestlers, and it was up against Jake and Honky
Greg
Tonk.
was up there. Yeah.
No, I didn't put Greg up there. I put Honky Tonk and
oh, come on, Honky Tonk Man's not an asshole, is he?
God, he is a big asshole.
He actually backed out of the shoot interview.
I said if anybody should have got fucking tackled and thrown on their ass during the Hall of Fame speech, it should have been him or fucking Brutus, not Bret Hart, one of the fucking best wrestlers of all time. Yeah.
We're good friends with Bret. Do you have anything to share with us about Bret? We're really family with the Harts. I mean, from everybody, from Stu to his mom, and from Bret's mom and Stu, and just all the Smith, who's not here no more, Owen, of course, but all the family. We even stayed at the dungeon one time, and that was a rib by Davy Boy, and that's where Ellie and Jim used to stay. But we were in there, and all of a sudden my partner starts sneezing and everything, and all of a sudden there's cats all over the place, and it was pitch dark, and Dynamite just dropped us off, and their house looked like the Addams Family. It was an old, that's how it looked. It was a big old house up there in the hill in Calgary, and it's pitch black, and there's one light on in that bedroom, and I walk up these big stairs. It was like a big mansion, and I'm going, "Sure, this is all right, Davey boy?" "Yeah, it's all right, it's all right." So we finally get up there, and then we tried to open up the windows, and the windows were kind of nailed shut, and it was hot. And all of a sudden, Sag starts sneezing because he's kind of allergic to cats. And all of a sudden, we saw cats coming out of everywhere. Then we saw a cat. It must have been a mountain lion. It was like that freaking big. We went, "We're getting the fuck out of here." We took a cab and we went down to the hotel down the street. We said, "Hey, we could." Sag's allergic to cats. He couldn't stay there. So, but Davey boy laughed at the whole thing because I think it was a rib. Davey just to put us there in the get-go because we have all this other stuff going around, and then you hear this creep, clip, and it's Smith up in the attic. That's where he lived, walking around at like 3:30 in the morning. We're going, "What the hell?" What did they? We thought for sure we were gonna get ribbed more than we did, but I think it was all set up for us to pull a good rib on the nasty boys, And you're friends with Willie Nelson. How did that friendship come about?
That became Dusty Rhodes, who's a really good friend of ours, and he's actually my partner's brother-in-law. said, would you like to meet Willie? And I said, man, I would always love to meet Willie. And he sent over me and Dustin and Zag, and they were playing in Clearwater, and they stopped the bus. And I met him that day. It was 1988, and from then on, Dusty kind of passed the torch to me, so I would go see Willie at Farm Aids and this and that, and we became really good friends, and I could call him anytime, and he's just a real great guy and humanitarian and just a good guy who would give you the shirt off his back. But yeah, we smoked a lot of good smoke on that thing. Yeah, definitely on that bus, so you come off smiling, that's for damn sure.
Now, one subject we didn't really cover in our shoot interview was your time in TNA wrestling. What could you tell us about your time in that? And
I don't know, were we in TNA wrestling? We never signed a contract. Zach said that's the first place we ever got fired from, or we were really never hired. I mean, yeah, Hulk asked if we'd come in, and we were supposed to come in later, and we never really signed anything. We were just, every time we wrestled, they gave us a paycheck, but we really never had a contract. So there was no firing to be had. It was just, you know, and it didn't do it right anyway. And TNA was never, you know, to me, it was never, no, it never was that. Even when Hulk and everybody went there, you know, and they brought the you know, NWO in, it still didn't get over. It even didn't, you know, Vince was never worried about that. I mean, Vince is worried about the new one, AEW, because, you know, that has some good talent there, and you know, when he sees something going on, he's definitely going to be on it and try to block that.
Right, so, like he did with the XWF. That's one thing we never talked about too. The XWF is a league that Brian started. It had Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, huge stars in it.
Roddy Piper.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler was in it too. Yeah, what happened with that? I guess Vince.
Well, we only had the guys for 60 to 90-day contracts, and we're still trying to get a TV deal. And he started picking the guys off. The guys he said he didn't want no more, all the old guys. And he saw that it was still had, and he put a big hole in the side where we're trying to sell the tape. Now Vince is picking the guys off because we only had them for 60 days, and 45 and 60 days and 90 days. So the the first guy he got was Hogan, and Hogan wrestled The Rock at WrestleMania 18 against at Tokyo, and not Tokyo, at Toronto Skydome. Yeah. So. But hey, the only good thing I said is we must have been on the right track, or he wouldn't have came after us, because he never once went after TNA at all. He never tried to, come in and bust it up or anything. But I know I hear some things nowadays that he's trying to make sure guys don't leave to go to AEW. So there needs to be more wrestling out there. I mean, really, the independent scene's doing better, but there needs to be another company out there, and this guy has money and he knows what he's doing, knows the Jaguars, owns a English football team, so he has a very good chance of putting a good product out there, and there needs to be another product. Competition is what wrestling business needs. There was nothing better when there was WCW and WWF going at each other all the time, because there's competition there, and you can leave. You're not stuck in working for Vince to make a living. You can go somewhere else to make a living and still be on TV and all that stuff. So I'm proud of all them guys. I hope everybody, everything works out, and for the fans too, that there's another league for everybody to come and check it out and watch it and see what they're doing, because they got some good talent out there, man. I'm telling you that. Omega Kid's unbelievable. I mean, Cody Rhodes, he's doing his own thing. The Young Bucks, Jericho's still out there. He's like the old schooler, so I like that Chris is out there doing his thing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, man, but I'm rooting for him.
And another league you were involved with was, of course, Celebrity Championship Wrestling. Dennis Rodman was in that, Danny Bonaducci, many celebrities. Any memories of that?
Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah, because you're trying to teach people out of wrestling like 3 or 4 days to actually do a match, and you're talking about Screech from Saved by the Bell and Tabitha from Bewitched. Like, what the hell do they know? What's her name? She was a Playboy Playmate, Nikki Searing, and I grabbed her by the back of the hair to give her a turnbuckle, and she goes, "My hair extensions." I went, "There are no hair extensions, it's pro wrestling." Boom, boom. But It was fun. It was fun doing it. You know, that was a good thing. And Hulk also had another show that my buddy had for a long time, and they came up to Canada a while, but now he passed away. But Michael Championship Wrestling, MCW, they were the midgets, you know. And we did a show with them, and I was in a Winnebago with them for 6 months. I was dreaming midgets for 2 years. Instead of dreaming sheep, I was dreaming midgets.
Now, last question before we get on to the fan questions, which, by the way, you fans can line up. I'm going to be doing them against that wall. You will be on the Hannibal TV for that portion of the show. Is Buck Zumhoff is a very controversial character that you actually knew. I mean, he's had some serious charges against him since you knew him involving young girls.
Buck was a fool back in the day, and he's still a fool now. That's all I can tell you. Oh my God. And then he got caught stealing in the locker room money out of the guys' wallets back in the day. He's lucky he didn't get killed a long time ago.
Really? What happened?
Someone caught him. While they were wrestling, caught him in somebody else's bag, taking out some money.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, he's garbage, dude. You know, people, you kind of see the wannabe guys and the old guys that work their way doing this and that, and there's no reason to work or take anybody's money. You guys are out here for a reason to have fun. Remember old stories that we did. One of the things I remembered and it brought a tear to my eye. I was at Live Aid 1985 in Philadelphia, and they were having the same event in the UK, and I watched that Bohemian Rhapsody, and I saw them, and that was their big deal there, that big comeback. And then I think about it, that was in '85, and I was in Philly, and then 7 years later, we were in Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam '92. We were the opening match, so no matches went yet. 94,000 people, and the opening match was me, Sag, and the Mountie against Hacksaw and the Bushwhackers, and we tore it up, brother. Because nobody did nothing yet, and the people were just live. They wanted to see that first match get on the way, and it's the most awesome feeling ever. But watching that really brought a lot of memories of it was the SummerSlam '92, so. Well,
the Mountie was one of my trainers, so I got to throw this question in there. Any memories of Jacques Rougeau?
He's the Mountie. He's crazy.
He's not the Mountie.
Hey, we used to have so much fun with Jacques. He's a good guy, yeah. Because we would tag him sometimes when we were in the 6-man, because he would always like to try to tag in when it was time for the heat. When it was time to bump, his ass was always on the outside. Like, what the hell, bullshit to that? So one time me and Sag didn't tag him, when it was time for the heat, he got so mad in the back. You need to tag me? I said, well, if you start taking a couple bumps every now and again and not just coming in for the heat, maybe we'll think about tagging you. Shut up before you get that cattle prod stuck up your ass.
All right, well, we're going to move on to the fan question portion.
Coming out, everybody. I appreciate this.
And look who we have here, the commissioner of Great North Wrestling himself, Commissioner John Maloney, has made it all the way out to Ottawa from Smith Falls. You have a question for Brian Knopf.
Brian, have you ever thought of making a return to Great North Wrestling, stepping in the ring with Hannibal? I heard you say you didn't have much respect for him against Haku.
Well, you know what? We would maybe bring Hannibal in and make him the third nasty boy, and this way he could do all the work like we just did with Rikishi's Tonga Kid's son. We did a show in Detroit, a legend show, and we were up against a couple of the young guys, and Rikishi said, "Just feed my nephew, bro. Just feed." So me and Sag just kept on throwing the guys in. His nephew's going to be the next big Samoan star. He's unbelievable. The stuff he was doing out there, the flips, and he's 300 pounds, going over the top rope on the 3 guys. He's just unbelievable. He's just that good. I know eventually he'll be with WWE, yeah.
It's really great hearing some of the stories. You tell them very well. So thanks a lot for coming in for this.
Thank you. Hey, good luck on keep it up, man. We'll come in for a signing or something. You can come out for a signing and a run-in. That's always good.
Yeah.
Little Pity City action.
It's going to be a long walk to that bus, I think.
All right, here's a Nasty Boy fan here with a shirt. How are you tonight, sir?
Very good. Brian, I remember when I first saw you starting wrestling. I remember I first saw you when you wrestled for the AWA. So we're going back a few years. My question to you is, what is your personal opinion between Vern Gagne and Vince McMahon? And do you think Vern was so stuck in the past why the AWA didn't survive?
Yeah, Vern was stuck on himself. He was, actually I heard that from Gene almost before it passed here last 4 months ago that, he was on the phone call when Vince was actually talking to Vern, and Vern goes, "What do you do? What do you think you're gonna do? Come over and take my territory over? What do you think you're gonna do?" He was telling Vince that, and Vince was gonna do it with or without him, but he was offering him, pretty much money to buy it and go that route, and he didn't want to sell it. And within about three years, Vern was out of business. You know what I mean? But if he would have worked with him, like Stu sold his territory to him. There's a couple different guys back in the day sold their territories to Vince, and Vince took care of them. So, that was Vern's old stubbornness, that he couldn't be beat and all that stuff. Yeah. So,
What do you think of his shirt?
I like it.
Time for a pit stop.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And here we go, a kickboxer here, Mark Burrell, Iron Mark Burrell. He's wrestling, or he's kickboxing on that Great North Wrestling event. What question do you have for Nasty Boy Nugs?
Well, I got kind of like two questions.
All right.
Who was your favorite opponent, and who is the worst opponent?
Our favorite opponents, we had a couple. That's a hard one to answer, but the Hart Foundation, because we won the belts with them. But the match that got us there was the Steiners, and then right after that we went with the LOD. So right there, number 3 top teams that you can't deny. And then guys we didn't really care for too much was Pistol Pez Watley. He's the only guy that you can give him a double tackle, and you're still standing there, and he's still standing up, and he takes 3 minutes to take the bump after me and Sago only weigh 600 pounds apiece, and we can't knock you over. But he was a good guy, but his bumps were terrible.
Thank you.
Here comes another one. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
Yourself?
Doing great.
I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Which town had the best groupies?
Oh, there's a question.
Back in the day when it was how can you say, when it was split up in little territories, Mid-South used to have the best groupies. Memphis, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, that crew of guys. Nashville, Memphis, Louisville every Tuesday. They had their set, every Monday was Memphis, every Tuesday was Louisville, every Wednesday was Evansville. So,
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it was a great time. I miss them days.
We have a lovely young lady here ready to ask a question to Brian Dobbs.
Okay, not a real wrestling fan, so what about when you were a judge on that show? What made you don't remember being, so I love reality TV, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Trailer Park Justice, I think it was.
Yes, Trailer Park Justice.
We almost had that on made a few mistakes that the producer did, but we would have been on the air. I wanted to make it all real, and they had to have it real cases, but have improvisational actors in there, and I think that's where it kind of took this flip, because if they would have had real, trailer court people in there, trailer trash, going through, this guy, pissed on my grill, and there was stuff like that, and then I could have handled it, but they wanted to go with the
actors.
with the improvisational actors, but real cases.
Okay.
So, but thank you for that. That's I still like that show. I'd like to bring that back.
I enjoyed it.
All right, Mr. Boston Pizza, do you have a question for Mr. Knobs?
Of course I do.
some of the wrestlers, they are a character and personality behind the scenes are totally different. When I see you, I pretty much feel that you're genuine. So when you were on being Hogan, how much liberty did you have? Like, because it seems that when you came into the scene, oh, something's gonna happen here, you know. So what was your limits in that?
There was no limits. They told me what they wanted me to do. I got drunk, and most of the time I was drunk. It was a good gig for me because I was getting paid good cash to, get out there, be myself and have a good time, So, and it helped me out with other things because people didn't see. They saw the other personality of my real side of not just nasty boy, nasty boulevard, of having fun and always having a good time. So that helped me out there too. I mean, we did it for 6 years, so that was a real good time.
Perfect. Awesome job.
Thank you, man.
All right, sir, do you have a question for Mr. Brian Knobs?
Yes, first of all, it's an honor to meet you, Mr. Knobs.
Thank you, man.
My question is a WrestleMania question. WrestleMania 7, I would like to hear your story with your experience with the Hart Foundation, winning the WWE Tag Team titles.
Yeah, it was
Los Angeles.
Yeah, that was the best. That really.
Macaulay Culkin was there too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Hey, so was the Fonz.
That's true. And Lou Ferrigno too.
And Lou Ferrigno was there. Yeah. So was good old Regis. Regis and Alex Trebek were there too. And Marlon Maples, our president, one of his ex-wives. But that match will always be in our hearts because that's what marked us and labeled us as. It stamped us. We won the WrestleMania 7. We won the WWE World Tag Team Championship. So it wasn't at a SummerSlam or something like that. If you want to win one, you want to win it at WrestleMania. And,
them all.
So and that was a good, and it was a good time. I watched it not too long ago, but all of their matches were good. I watched it from they had all kind of different matches. They had the model against Jake, the blindfold match, then the soap opera, Dino Bravo, and they had the soap opera with Liz coming back, and all the people crying. I mean, talk about having the people, all the women were crying.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, you don't ever see that. And they were actually crying that they're back together. It's I'm like, but that's pretty powerful shit there,
It was a soap opera, like you mentioned. Just one more question again about WrestleMania 7. At first, the venue was supposed to be at the Coliseum. It was supposed to be a big venue with 100,000 fans, but then it changed to the...
Because the war broke out, remember?
So was there a threat to the show?
If they were going to have it there, they would have had to spend so much on security to make sure it was safe that nobody was going to try to bring a bomb in or nothing like that.
Was any threats or?
No, just because the war broke up, they had to have it extra certified with security, and it was easier and cheaper to do it at the LA Arena than it was the Coliseum. But I would have still liked to have it at the Coliseum because that would have been 90,000 people. At least 94,000. Even though I was at WrestleMania 8 was 68,000, and then Wembley Stadium was 94,000. So,
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
I think that I speak for everyone here when I say I would love to hear a story about Corporal Kirshner. Do you have any great stories about Corporal Kirshner?
You know what? He was always a nice guy, but I really never hung with him. I just knew him like when I was on the road, and I haven't seen him in years.
I just saw Corporal Kirshner fan.
I'll have to look for it. I'll try to look, and I'll tell Hannibal.
Perfect. If you ever find him, let him know I'm looking for him.
I will.
Thanks.
All right, we have another beauty here ready for a question for Knobs.
Hi. Pranks. What was your best prank in the back, and who was it?
You know what? Was told a long time ago, never admit a rib, because this way now, then they know you actually did it. But there was a lot of one of the best ones was I shaved Ric Flair's eyebrows off. Oh, and he was mad. He wanted me fired when we landed in London. He was fucking pissed. He even told me this the other day. He goes, "You bastard, you told me you wouldn't get me." And
when I shaved mine off, but the door opened when I was shaving mine off, and that stooge Terry Taylor saw me and told Flair I shaved my own off because I tried to blame it on Mr. Perfect, because I had mine shaved off before, so it's no big deal, and I'm an ugly, nasty boy anyway, so I went, oh, he got me, and Flair goes, you're full of shit. Terry Taylor saw you shave your own eyebrows off in the bathroom in there earlier. And I went, that motherfucker bastard, you know. And I tried to blame it on Perfect because he was the most perfect guy to blame it on, because he did all kind of, we learned all that stuff from him, and he learned it from Mr. Fuji. So, you know, there was a lot of different, you know, shaving the eyebrows, you know, poop in the bag and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's lovely. Like, I can only imagine.
What a business, huh? I'm telling you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What's your question for Nobs, sir?
Yeah, first of all, happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
As my son pointed out, I'm not going to mention your age because I'm 3 years and 51 weeks older than you.
Wow. 56, I can't believe it. I'm on the wrestler's death list since I'm in my 20s. I'm still here, baby.
My question to you is,
yes,
if AEW was to approach you and offer you a contract to be a trainer or a wrestler teaming up with the Sags, would you take it?
Yeah, I would have to see what it's about. You know what I mean? I would definitely like to do something like that. That would be a problem.
I'm telling you, probably.
I'm not going back. You know, there ain't no one more run for me. I'm just, my body's beat up, man. I mean, just, you know, I could go out there and still pull off what I pulled off in Detroit because I still know how to do what I do. And you know, when you have your buddies around you, like the Bret Harts and the Rikishis and the Hacksaws, you know what I mean? And everybody get together. It just, you know, you get everybody that likes each other so that people see that. So, you know, people in that arena, with this 3 weeks ago, saw that we were all having fun. So if we're having fun, that means you're having fun because they see we're having fun. You know, and I got to give the real stink face to one guy. Rikishi let me do it. So I actually gave him the real stink face. I didn't, you know, pull the underwear, everything came down.
Oh,
he got the real stink face. Yeah, felt pretty good. And you know, I mean, I did the armpit and the stink face in one night.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's great to see you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And it was his birthday this week, so that's nice of him. I heard one was it Wednesday was his birthday or something like that?
That was Monday.
Monday, yeah, Monday was his birthday. Happy birthday.
56, still here.
All right, and last fan question for today. What do you
Here we
have?
go. What do you got?
Hey, hi Brian, nice to meet you. And I'd like to know when you guys were tearing up the rings or whatnot in the NWO and Hogan and that, what was the persona behind the Clique?
The persona behind the Clique was just a bunch of guys, which Triple H and Hunter Hunter and let's see, Scott Hall, Kevin, Sean, X-Pac, and they all had their little group of guys, and at the time they had the power also with Vince, so, you know, they were, you know, they were, you know, telling the angles to do and what the, you know, more of a, it wasn't never run that way before, you know what I mean? Yeah. There was always Pat Patterson was running it with Vince or this and that, but they gave them guys the handle, and then they were kind of like the Clique, and if you weren't on the side of the cliques, we weren't in there at that time because we were friends with Sean, so we would have been right in there, but we were down WCW at that time, but yeah, that's
I remember the time when they had a TV segment where Johnny down the page, the Johnny Cutter, the Razor Ramon, and then they had all hell broke loose after that.
Yeah, well, I don't know which was a work there or not, because Scott and DDP are pretty good friends, so I could think that could have been a work, you know what I mean? Just to say they actually, after it was known, the Clique, then so they started using it as an angle for actually to use it as a, you know, we're after the Clique, you know, so that's how it kind of came to be. So that might have been just a work.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Good. Okay.
I didn't really watch too much of DDP stuff.
Opinion on DDP since you brought him up?
DDP's one hell of a yoga instructor, I'll tell you that. He put me through that. I couldn't even move. I was huffing and puffing in 30 minutes. I couldn't believe it. And he had me just doing the rolls and the stretches, and it actually helps out a lot of people. So good for him. And he's always a go-getter. I known him before he ever was in the wrestling business, so we knew him when he was a big bar manager and everything. And he's always been cool. So, you know, more power to everybody, and especially positive people. We need more positive energy out there. Everybody's always negative and this and that and the other shit. You hear a lot of wrestlers always cut down other wrestlers. And I do that. I mean, you live the hell of a life, enjoy it. You know, we're out for the latter part of our careers now, and you know, we're still having fun. We're still having fun sitting down here talking to you people, just bullshitting and talking about old times and what kind of matches were this and how it was this guy, and it's fun because I grew up over half my life with most of these guys. I mean, I've been in the wrestling business now 34 years, and I'm 56. So, after my life, I've been with the Bret Harts and Macho Mans and Hulk Hogan's, and they all been friends of mine forever. You know what I mean? And my partner's the longest, 45 years. So I don't know how to get rid of him, but I guess he's stuck with me.
And where can people follow you if they want to look you up on social media?
I'm at Brian Knobs, at Brian Knobs on Twitter, and then my Facebook is, I think, at Brian Knobs. And there's a picture of me standing there. I have a Nasty AM shirt on, so you can notice me there. And them are probably the only two. I didn't start the Instagram yet. I'm not into the social media. I got to, because it does help so much to get out on the social media thing, but I gotta get doing it, and I'm not too good at all that stuff, especially spelling. That's why I have to talk my text, and I don't spell too good. That's why I got into wrestling and got chairs smashed over my head, okay?
Well, we're at The Hannibal TV on Twitter and Instagram, and thehannibaltv.com is our website. We're also on Facebook at The Hannibal TV. Any final message for this great crowd? Give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you very much for having me out. Listen to my stories, some old stories. Stuff brings back some good memories. And like I said, always had a good time when I was out here in Ottawa and Hall. And the fans never disappointed me, and you didn't disappoint me today. Thank you all for coming out. You're great. Thank you very much. Keep on watching, because wrestling's still wrestling. And with the network, you can always look up the old school. So that's one good thing. The network has the young kids see our matches these days, and I go, well, how do you see our matches? And they say, well, you just look up the Nasty Boys on the network, and you can get every match we ever did, even the AWA days. So that's a good thing, that it's still staying alive, one way or the other. And our era was definitely a different era. I don't think it ever will be repeated, but it shows by guys like you still going out and seeing guys like Hacksaw and Jake the Snake and Ted DiBiase and myself and Bret Hart, and it just shows you that you guys still love that era. We did something, from the 80s and 90s that people love, and I love it too. And thank you very much that you still appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you. Stay nasty, baby.
TheHannibalTV.com presents a special, the Hannibal TV live YouTube interview taping featuring the controversial eldest Hart grandchild, Teddy Hart, Friday, August 9th at the Petawawa Civic Center Banquet Hall. Teddy grew up in the famous Hart family and has lived a very unique life, wrestling for WWE, Impact, AAA in Mexico, and is currently a star in the Major League Wrestling promotion. The show will feature an extended interview conducted by Hannibal, followed by a fan question period, meet and greet, and photo opportunity session. Advance tickets are only $10, available now at the Petawawa Civic Center reception office or ticketweb.ca. Prices will increase $5 at the door. For more information, visit thehannibaltv.com.